step number 3, how to 100% prepare yourself for your dates. Which questions you should ask to determine whether a person is right for you or not. Now, most of you have dated and knew the telltale signs were there from the beginning, but you chose to ignore them. Have you ever dated someone and later looked back and asked yourself, what was I doing with that person? Or, what did I see in that person? I think we've all been there. Or, the big one, I can't believe I used to sleep with that person. I think we've all been there as well. Some of us don't even tell anybody that we've slept with some people because we're quite private, or might be ashamed, or it didn't work out. But we have to take responsibility, because at the time when we was entertaining that person, we wasn't feeling like this, was we? Because if we was, we wouldn't have entertained them at all. We've all been there. What were the warning signs that were there in the early stages? I bet you've reflected back and you think, yep, that's what it was. I can relate to that as well. Yes, of course you could recognize what they were there. Why do we choose to ignore the warning signs in the beginning of a relationship? Why do we choose? They're bang there in front of us, telling us this person is not right for us. I can feel it, and we choose to carry on. One for myself can relate to that. I was in a relationship. I found out something. I wasn't happy about it, and I chose to stay for the wrong reasons. You know, I was in love with her. I was needy. I didn't want to be alone, and I was afraid of going out there and meeting somebody else. Bet the devil that you know. And I just felt afraid. So it was easier for me to stay with her. But the warning signs are always there, but we choose not to see them. We choose not to see them. Why? Because what we do is we minimize their importance. We don't make them as big as they seem to us. So when we minimize their importance, then it's not as important to us. Now let's say for example you don't drink, and you meet somebody that has a serious drinking problem. Every day they have to drink. Every day they have to drink, and you hate it. You hate it so much with a passion. But what do? Because in your emotional situation, you minimize the importance of that. So you think, oh, well, maybe, let's say if it's a woman of a man, oh, maybe he'll improve. Maybe it will get better. Maybe it will be a better situation. Maybe he'll get help. Or maybe it won't be such a problem for me. Maybe. And then you minimize it. But deep down in your stomach and in your gut feeling, you know that you're not happy about this. And you know that this is going to cause problems in a relationship. And what happens, like my situation at the end of the relationship, the reason why it broke down was because of these signs in the beginning that we chose to ignore. Same thing with myself. How that relationship ended was linked with what happened in the beginning as well. But we chose not to stay there for whatever reason. This way, you don't talk yourself out of leaving. Just the same way as you do it, you say that it was the opposite. If it's massive, then you talk yourself out of leaving. And you don't want to be lonely. The key one, you don't want to go out there by yourself and be out there by yourself. Better the devil that you know. And you believe and hope things will improve, but deep down, you know they won't. You know that. And I'm sure I'm talking directly to you. You know what I'm talking about. You feel needy. You don't want to damage what's perceived to be good. It seems like it's good. Now, usually this happens when your last relationship prior to this was so bad, this one seems better. So then this one seems a lot more better than the previous one. So you stick around because you think, actually, it's actually better than the last relationship. Even though they've got this problem, well, we can work on that and it may get better. You don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to start moaning. You don't want to start causing up stuff that's linked with your past, and you just want to just keep everything on a nice, positive, cool level. So you don't want to rock the boat. So you stay on your best behavior. You don't want to moan the first couple of months. You're being good. You're being a good man. You're being a good girl. You just keep everything nice and sweet, and you're being on your best behavior. And you was alone too long prior to this relationship. Let's say you was on your own for a couple of years, and now you saved yourself, and now this one's come along, and then you feel better because this one's come along, and then this happens, then you just stick around a bit because, you don't want to be out there. You don't want to go back out there and be alone for a longer time next time, because it must have been horrible for you to be alone. And you don't want to be alone again, especially when you are tired of searching, tired of going out, tired of going out on dates, tired of going out to clubs, wine bars, dating events, relying on friends, dating sites. A lot of energy and time, especially when you don't get anything that you want out of that. Can you relate to this? Because I can. I've experienced this more than once, and I'm sure you can as well. So a plan is needed before you start to date potential partners. So important. A plan is needed. Now let's say, for example, you're going for a job interview. You do your research. If you're an accountant, you're looking for one of the top accountancy firms. So you research it. You look for the company position you require. You look at the salary because you want a big salary. The location, the perks, the promotion, the suit to wear on the interview, or even the suit to wear at the job, and the traveling. So you've done your research, so you know how to plan for each one of those, don't you? When we arrive on a date, we just turn up and hope that we click. And if we do click, it's fantastic. And then wonder why problems start after only a few months. Now you need to establish what are your must-haves in a relationship. You need to establish that in the beginning. As Tony Robbins has said, you need to decide in advance what your must-haves are, because your brain will send out mixed signals. If you don't know what you want, you're just going to pick up anything and anything and just go with the flow. For example, men, imagine a car you want to buy. Let's say, for example, you wanted to buy a Mercedes C180. As of today, that's your ideal car. As of tomorrow, you will start to see that car all the time. But before, you never used to see it because that wasn't a must that you wanted. Does that make sense? So, therefore, you're telling your brain, I want this particular type of car, I want this particular type of model, I want this particular type of color, and your brain is searching for that because you've told it, you programmed your brain, that's what you want. And that's why you search for it, and that is how your brain works. And it applies exactly the same way for relationships. Women, how many times you want to buy a pair of shoes or a certain type of dress that you've seen on the TV or you've seen somewhere else wearing or wherever you've seen it, and you've made up your mind that's what you want to get. Don't you notice that you see that on a regular basis all the time after that? Or even you see other women wearing it as well. And it's exactly the same thing in a relationship. So we need to establish what are your musts are in advance, because then you will go out and start to search for what you want that are most important to you. Do you notice that once your mind is made up about what you want, your brain starts to search and scan all over the place for that? That is exactly how your brain works. Now, it took me a while to grasp this, but when I understood this, I applied this to all areas of my life. What exactly is the type of relationship do you want? Write down 3 things that you must find out on your first few dates. 3 things that you must find out. Now, these are the most important must-haves for you. The most important must-haves for you. Marriage. Do you want to have marriage? Do you want a family? Do you want somebody that's close with their family? Do you want someone that can travel? Do you want someone that's be debt-free? Do you want someone that's ambitious? Do you want someone that's working? Do you want someone that's close with their family? What is it? What are the most important musts for you? And everybody's different. There's not a wrong or right way here. That must they have children of their own? Must they have no previous marriage? Must they be rich, fit, or even be healthy? What is it that must-haves for you? Start writing those down, and then your brain will start to be programming to search for that. Now, write down 3 different questions you could ask in a very subtle way, not blatantly obvious. If you want to get married, I wouldn't say on the first couple of dates, I want to get married. It just wouldn't go down too well, okay? But there's ways that you can you can very cheekily, sneakily ask to establish whether or not they do. So for example, one question you must ask your date is, what are your goals for the next 1, 3, and 5 years? It doesn't have to be those 3 numbers, but whatever is important to you. What's your goal for the next 1, 3, and 5 years? Or what positive things do you want to achieve in your life in 3 to 5 years? Now, ladies, if you're asking a man this question and you want to get married, if he doesn't say within those years, within those timescale that he wants to get married, and you do, that's him blatantly saying to you, I don't want to get married, but you want to get married. If he says he doesn't, if children doesn't get mentioned in that, and he does, and you want children, if you continue to see this man after, even though he's told you from now that's what he wants, then that comes back down to you because he's already told you what he wants. That makes sense. So your values and your beliefs and your goals are not compatible. Now, these questions will help you to prevent dating the wrong person for a few to several months. It can only not prevent that. And this is working on a regular basis now. Their answer will tell you a lot about the person you are dating. Definitely. They will let you know about marriage, they will let you know about children, they'll let you know about their finances, and let you know about their home. Find out what you need to know and ask them in the beginning. If what you want to find out is anything to do with these 4 things, work your questions around that. But those open questions that we just asked about will be an excellent starting point.